It's an absolutely beautiful October the 13th it is today, and finally that nagging breeze that we've had for a few days has dropped and has allowed and created the perfect conditions for butterflies to move south. Now, I have just seen one Red Admiral flying across the field quite close to me at about 3 feet off the ground, so there's at least some activity. It looks as though it'll only just be a trickle of odd butterflies moving through, but we'll give it an hour and see what happens. But it's the most promising and likely day we've had. Now, I expected big things from migratory butterflies this year. I thought we'd have a really good autumn return migration, but it seems not, despite the very promising conditions and numbers that arrived in spring. And they enjoyed a very successful breeding season. Painted lady larvae and Red Admiral larvae were pretty much all over the place, but the hot summers put paid to most of those. Painted ladies seem to have died out completely. Can't remember the last time I saw one, and certainly I've not seen any go through. And Red Admirals have put in an extra brood as well, but they're just starting to hatch out. There's only the odd ones that I'm seeing on any sort of flowering ivy that we have locally. But this is probably the best day they're going to get to have any chance of moving south, which butterflies do. So we'll give it an hour and we'll see what happens. Probably not a lot, but if you're not there to look, you're not there to find out, are you? Well, I've had a second Red Admiral go through, just slightly off south, more south-southwest, which is probably the similar path actually to the first one. And the second one went through at 11:59, so at the moment we're looking at about one every 10 minutes. Saying that, one's just gone behind me and heading straight that way, so that's 3. Let's just check the time on this. 12:03. The temperature's not bad, it's pleasantly warm, more than, in fact it's lovely in the sun. I'm saying there's just a very slight breeze, but hopefully we'll get a few more. It's starting to look a little bit promising. Well, I've had a fourth through a few minutes ago. They're on a very narrow flight path through here, pretty much just at the back of the camera here, and only a few yards out there. And they've all been pretty much that sort of narrower path. The conditions, as I say, are absolutely perfect, and do shout out if one flutters by if we're going that way. But what there is as well, there's a lot of euphonious dung beetles flying, which is what you'd expect in this kind of weather. But there's also lots of what appears to be strands of cotton, and they're the parachutes used by parachuting spiders. Some are quite large, and it's quite surprising the size of some spiders that are attached to them, and they appear like a thin sort of cotton thread, or as if you've really thinned out some cotton wool into a sort of thickish strand. You'll see that sort of ascending up, and then attached to it somewhere will be the spider. And I've seen some, say, fairly chunky sized spiders, certainly sort of juvenile Aranius debatus, that's the garden cross spider. But there's one or two of such parachutes going around at the moment. Technical term for which is ballooning, of course. And that's what you get on late autumn days like this, and in such conditions it's ideal for it. Get yourself low to the ground like I am. I've not fallen down, I've purposefully sat down because it helps with spotting Red Admirals flying through. Slightly higher off the ground actually, the 4 that have gone through so far, than about 4 feet off the ground. Usually they're often lower than that, but we'll see how many more we'll get come through. Just looking some of the old records of Red Admiral migration through Red Hill here at Eakin over the years, and some of the more notable ones featuring Red Admirals anyway. Probably one of the best, if not the best, was 82 South. That was on 30th of September in 2000. That was the same day that a cloud of yellow went through as well. I must have forgotten that. But over the years, not all migrations have occurred late on. There was one spectacular one in August, and that involved 179 large whites, 54 small whites, 106 peacocks, 47 small tortoiseshells, 42 green-veined whites, 716 painted ladies, and 134 Red Admirals, and they went through during a very hot period. Temperatures well over 30 centigrade, and I remember getting roasted here, and that was the 3rd of August rather, in 2003. That was a fantastic couple of days. I remember the movement took place over several days, and at the time I attributed it to being very dry. Everywhere was incredibly dry. There was no flowers. It's very similar to this year. I thought we might get a similar kind of event this year with it being so dry, but no, we didn't. Just shows you how things vary from year to year. But otherwise, Red Admirals, 47 South on the 20th of September that same year, 2003. And looking through these records, which are all on the website, numbers of migrating butterflies have probably declined slightly. We've got 93 painted ladies southwest on the 9th of August 2009. Also with 109 large white, which is another species that moves through and people don't often realise. So if we look further back here, 30 Red Admiral southwest, 15th of the 9th 2012. And then lastly here in this roundup, 35 Red Admirals southwest on the 12th of October 2014, so almost 8 years ago to the day. At the moment, I'll have to do with 4, unless one snuck by as I was reading this. It's just a lovely day though, it's perfect for everything moving. It's just that the things I want to move aren't there. And that doesn't include bodily parts that should move better than they do. I'll just pause for another 5 minutes, as visible migration washes are prone to do. Just 5 more minutes, and then it's back home for me. But whatever Red Admiral migration there was has definitely stopped. It was only a trickle, but it was something, the first bit that we've actually had. Perfect conditions for it, but whether we get these conditions again in the next few days, I very much doubt. But, and I did expect some to be moving through today, because this has been the ideal conditions for a number of days. So, until another day, there's still time for butterflies to be moving through, and they will move through. The Red Admirals will trickle through most days when it's fairly sunny like this. All you've got to do is look for a butterfly just flying low to the ground, 2 or 3 feet off the ground, purposefully in a southerly direction. And that is butterfly migration in autumn. It's a real thing, and something that's worth looking for.